Right now, there are more troops deployed to Los Angeles than there are deployed in Syria and Iraq combined. Let me just repeat that, because I've just been thinking about this all day since one of our amazing producers shared this with me. There are more troops deployed to Los Angeles than there are deployed in Syria and Iraq combined. And right now, Donald Trump is also doing everything he can to make Los Angeles look and feel like a war zone. That's on purpose. That's what he's trying to do. Today, NBC News counted 12 Black Hawk helicopters sitting on a tarmac at an airport in Los Angeles. That is not normal, to state the obvious. Today, we also got reports that the Department of Homeland Security has been flying Predator drones over Los Angeles to surveil the protests. Overall, as I was just talking about with Chris, Trump has deployed 4,000 federalized National Guard troops and 700 active duty Marines to Los Angeles. And the reality on the ground is that the protests that Trump sent these thousands of members of the military to deal with are both largely peaceful and primarily isolated within an incredibly small section of the city. You see that tiny speck on the map? That is the area we're talking about. And that is the area that's once again under curfew tonight. It's basically about 1 square mile, covering a few blocks in downtown LA. And yet, Donald Trump has sent 4,700 troops into the city, a city where the police, the mayor, who don't always agree, by the way, and the governor all do not want them there. And as Governor Gavin Newsom said just last night during our show, California may be first, but it clearly won't end there. Other states are next. That's all part of the plan. And all of the evidence that we're seeing over the last 24 hours tells us the governor is absolutely right. I mean, on Capitol Hill today, Trump's Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, suggested that troop deployments like the ones we are seeing in LA could happen anywhere in the U.S. if necessary. If necessary is what he said. And that statement is even more alarming considering the reporting from NBC News we told you about just last night, that ICE is preparing to deploy the same kind of tactical, militarized immigration teams to 5 other big cities: Seattle, Chicago, Philadelphia, right here in D.C., and New York City. And the leaders of these cities are also preparing because they're seeing what's happening in L.A. Today at a press conference, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson made clear he also wasn't going to back down and urged the people of his city to do the same, saying, quote, "I'm counting on all of Chicago to resist in this moment because whatever particular vulnerable group is targeted today, another group will be next." And other leaders across the country are preparing too. Today, CNN reported that other Democratic governors have been calling California Governor Gavin Newsom to tick through scenarios in their minds of how what's happened in California could play out at home for them. Now, we already know from previous NBC reporting that in order to deliver on this massive expansion across the country that Trump clearly wants, Stephen Miller clearly wants, ICE doesn't currently have the manpower to scale up like that on their own, even though the leaders, Trump and his minions, want it. That's why they've had to pull agents from other parts of the government, like the FBI, the DEA, and even the IRS, pulling agents by the thousands off of their day jobs and assigning them to essentially fulfill Stephen Miller's fever dream. And now it appears that the National Guard and the military are being recruited into Trump's deportation agenda as well. Here was the LAPD chief, Jim McDonnell, today on CBS.
We don't need the National Guard, and they're not here to help us right now. They're here to facilitate what the federal agencies are doing on the immigration front.
See, I'm confused because President Trump said that they were brought in to assist with the protests.
Yeah, well, that's not our understanding.
I mean, just to underline that was the chief of the LAPD saying that he believes the 4,700 troops Trump has sent to LA are not there to handle the protests, which is questionable legally anyway. They're there to help ICE. They're there to provide protection for already militarized federal agents that are taking immigrants off the streets. That's what's happening in Los Angeles right now. And here's the kind of thing that could be coming to a city near you, because expansion is the goal here. This was the scene in the Boyle Heights neighborhood of LA today. Security camera footage shows federal agents ramming a car to apprehend a man who was reportedly wanted in connection with the protests. According to the man's family, he's an American citizen, and there were also 2 infants in car seats when his car was rammed. can see it. That is the scene that I'm talking about right now. 2 infants in car seats in that car. We're also beginning to see churches targeted by federal agents, like in Downey in southeastern Los Angeles. In one of those raids, city leaders say an elderly man was detained while taking his granddaughter to school at one of the churches. There have been dramatic scenes like this one that took place at a car wash in Culver City on the west side of Los Angeles.
7-year-old Jorge Vasquez cried uncontrollably as he watched ICE agents take his father away in handcuffs. His 15-year-old brother, Brian, yelled, "I'll see you soon, Dad."
I lost all I feel is sad. I can't live peacefully without my dad.
Over the weekend, several ICE raids targeted car washes. But Arturo didn't work there. He was simply there to wash his car.
There are also scenes like this one out of Hawthorne in the South Bay of Los Angeles, where a U.S. citizen who is 9 months pregnant was forcibly detained by ICE this weekend after declining to allow federal agents on what she said was private property. She experienced stomach pain after her arrest and was admitted to the hospital, where she later had this to say.
I had lost my balance because he was kind of like shoving me away from the door, and that's when I kind of just like leaned forward because I was kind of trying to protect the stomach.
Donald Trump is now trying to export all of this recklessness that I've just showed you, and there's much more, to other American cities. And guess what? The American people don't like it. Of course they don't. Today, Quinnipiac is out with new polling showing that Donald Trump's job approval is underwater by 16 points. On immigration specifically, he is underwater by 11 points. This is the guy who ran on the strength of his immigration and border policy. On deportations, he's underwater by 16 points. Turns out, empowering and militarizing ICE, pulling people off the streets, sending the military into communities is not what the majority of people in the country want to happen. No kidding. And there's been an outcry in response. I mean, since Friday, we've seen massive protests all across the country. What you're seeing on your screen now are protests in San Francisco, Denver, D.C., Chicago, New York, and Philadelphia. It's not even just the big metropolitan blue cities where we're seeing a lot of this. This is Oxnard, California, Louisville, Kentucky, Baltimore, Maryland, Raleigh, North Carolina, Columbus, Ohio, Dallas, Texas. This is Portland, Oregon, El Paso, Texas, Meriden, Connecticut, St. Louis, Missouri, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Kansas City. All across the country, people are mad. But the core of the protests is still in downtown LA.